The most epic and unpredictable fight is finally here, and it's between the two prime welterweight icons, Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. There is simply nothing like it.
17, how long had you had your eye on him, and did you think this would ever happen?
I had my eye on him once I got the third belt. You know, that was my chance. This is my chance to get the fourth belt, so that's when I had my eye on him, but I ain't had my eye on him in 2017.
A fight that has been in the works for years. Spence and Crawford are ranked among the top 3 pound for pound. Spence's most recent fight was against Yordenis Ugas in April 2022, ending with a TKO victory in favor of Spence. Meanwhile, Crawford is coming off a 6th-round TKO win over David Avanesian. With this win, Crawford retained the WBO welterweight title.
Grab it again. We talking about now, but you talking about how big it is. It's fat. Grab that. Yeah.
Crawford has the WBO welterweight world title, while Spence has accumulated the other 3 belts, WBC, IBF, and WBA. Anyone that wins this bout will automatically become the best boxer in the welterweight division.
Do you believe you have more dog than this man who's never been stopped, never been beaten? That's possible here July 29th?
Oh, definitely. I feel like I'm the apex. You know, I feel like he definitely gonna come to fight. He definitely gonna, try to put on. He gonna put on a great performance. But I feel like I'm just a better fighter overall. I feel like I'm gonna break him. He said he gonna reel me in and bring me to the bank. So we're definitely gonna see. I don't think he can reel me in. I don't think nobody got a big enough fishing pole to reel me in.
Spence has a size advantage over Crawford and owns the better jab. He's a natural 147-pounder who competed at 152 pounds in the Olympics. On the other hand, Crawford moved from the 135 pounds division into 147 and has made a name for himself. He's a switch-hitting boxer who can easily adjust from orthodox to southpaw and deliver power shots from both stances, a trait that has set home apart in the boxing world.
Spence and Bud Crawford have agreed to fight. How do you see that fight playing out in the ring?
It's gonna be a crazy chess match, but a war. They're gonna fight. They're gonna fight to death. They're gonna fight the shit out of each other, and it's crazy because I got personal relationships with both of them. But of course, I'm closer to Earl. Even though me and Terence, we close as shit too, and his whole team, my whole team love their whole team. Like, it's a fight that boxing need. It's a fight that both of them need, and I really see a trilogy in this whole thing with them.
Wow.
I honestly can see a trilogy, and both of them guys retiring.
Wow. How about that?
Bud is the better finisher and owns a better punch variety, but Spence is more defensively responsible. When all of these are combined, it will yield an action-packed bout, which will be worth all the wait. Every boxing fan around the globe will not want to miss this matchup.
My money is on Crawford. Crawford, counter-punching, fast, quick, can switch lefty, righty. He can hit him with the right hand. The right hand got in on him. That right hand of Ugas got in on him. Now imagine Crawford hitting him with that right hand. Bing, he gonna feel it. One thing that Crawford got to worry about is the body shots that Spence gonna be throwing. Those is lethal. Now that take the power away. And late in fights where you have a guy like Crawford that has punching power late, that'll be gone. And then you can see Ugas Spence putting the pressure on him and probably winning a decision. So never know, man. It's a close fight, but my money's still on Crawford by knockout.
Looking at Spence's past fights, one thing is clear: he is very versatile. While fighting with Mikey Garcia, Spence proved to be the better boxer and literally destroyed him.
To test the chin while the round is going on.
Garcia goes down.
No, that was a trip over the
got awkward and went down, of course. I mean, he's such a complete boxer. But that's a hard no. That was the right hand that went over the top.
Well, Spence throws and boom, there, it hit him. Of course it did.
That's a 10-9 round for Joe Goose.
It was a glancing shot. Well, with a whole bunch of knuckles in that glance, all right?
For the Spence-Crawford bout, the strategy will depend on how Spence plans to attack Crawford. Crawford's win over Porter is a prime example of how organized he can be in the ring. Throughout the fight, Crawford effectively countered the aggressive Porter and moved backward to create the necessary distance to land those powerful counters. Crawford will have a slight reach advantage over Spence. Between that, Spence's abilities as an inside fighter and the size differential between the two men, Crawford's best strategy might be to control the action on the outside and try to look for angles and windows to throw power counters. Spence dominated Lamont Peterson, who is a tough fighter.
He just stand on the inside, not doing much. Errol Spence loading up. Good balance, hard shots, right on the temple.
Peterson had a surprise run a few years ago, but any boxer that wants to fight for a title should beat him. However, he's good enough to expose fakes. So, a dominant performance by Spence over Peterson is a good sign, but to be expected of a supposed world-class fighter. At the same time, Crawford is a genius and supremely talented. He does things in the ring simply because he can and just to see what happens. Crawford can underwhelm people because he tends not to dominate from the opening bell to KO. Instead, Crawford keeps it tight for a few rounds, then takes over around the fourth or fifth. He uses those early rounds to figure out his opponent, and after that, it's all Crawford. He knows he has the precision and power to give up a few rounds, though those early rounds are not necessarily lost, and still win by a comfortable margin.
And that's just to show you, he's a great champion. You can't take nothing away from him.
Terence Crawford's coach, Ron Goodell, says they have a whole toolkit that they can utilize to defeat Errol Spence Jr. on July 29th. If one tool doesn't work, they will reach into the toolbox to find something else until they get what they need to beat the undefeated IBF, WBA, and WBC welterweight champion, Spence. It makes sense for Crawford not to be stationary for too long in this fight because he doesn't possess the ability to match Spence's high-volume punch offense. Although Crawford is an exceptional counterpuncher, those types of fighters can be overwhelmed by guys with a high volume.
Now it's time to go get one more. It's all about big fish right now, and I like you guys, but at the same time, we're really co-workers. And the way we can get this thing going, we gotta work together with night of the fight. It's really is showtime for real. And we're gonna make it happen. Thank you all.
Meanwhile, James was reluctant to talk about Spence's advantages over Crawford. I won't get into that. I'll just say that I feel like it's all about me and my guy. I won't go in and talk about what advantages we have. But I think they seem to think they have so many more advantages, so I just let them have that. Enjoy that until you find out the truth, James said. Spence's success over the years has much to do with his stance. He tends to keep his weight on the back foot while fighting. This works perfectly for him because by advancing off the back foot, Spence can pressure without automatically endangering himself. If his head were carried closer to his front foot, he would expose his chin immediately upon entering his punching range. He could still likely outslug most of his opponents, but the point is he would have to. With his head farther away, on the other hand, Spence can land the jab while keeping his chin out of range. For a southpaw, Spence uses his jab a lot. He sets up almost everything with his right hand. Now, landing the right-handed jab clean against orthodox opponents can be tricky. That doesn't stop Errol from doing it dozens of times in every fight, but his right remains effective whether he lands it or not. Another trick that plays in a beautiful concert with the southpaw jab is head control. By applying pressure to his opponent's head, Spence can effectively control where the other man goes and adjust his position accordingly. Meanwhile, Crawford has a complete boxing style where he adapts to what type of boxing style his opponent has. Due to this, Crawford's boxing IQ is exceptional, and we have seen him box by using a range of tactics and techniques. This includes applying pressure, counter-punching, defense maneuverability, infighting, and power shots with tremendous finishing ability. Crawford's jab is probably one of the most underrated aspects of his game, where the Nebraska fighter will use this primarily as a rangefinder and parry with his opponent to counter over the top or set up counterpunches. When he switches to orthodox, his jab is often used when applying pressure to set up his deadly left or right hooks that have shaken and taken down many of his opponents.
I would say he was probably the more talented guy, you know, probably a little more skill. And it's going to be interesting to see how Spence fights another southpaw like him.
Bud's footwork is undoubtedly a big part of his defensive game and often gets overlooked. However, this is part of his overall boxing IQ. He will often shuffle back in straight lines, use pivots left or right, and circle his opposition using lateral steps in his footwork, especially when he is on the back foot. The boxer's abilities, skills, and performance make it difficult to pick a winner. They both deserve to win.
You know, it's just natural for me to talk back. You know, I'm not got to talk too much, but when somebody's talking to me, I'm going to talk back to you, you know, so.
Which of these iconic boxers do you think will come out as the new welterweight king? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next one.